I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, October the 21st. Good morning. What a weekend that was. Oh, my, I've got a bit of a sports hangover. Let's get right to it. Your top five at 6. The Minnesota Lynx. Let me just go ahead and say it out of the gate.
Yeah.
I haven't paid that much of attention, okay? I mean, during the playoffs, I got interested. I got involved. I've been watching.
Yeah.
They lost last night in Game 5. The Liberty are champions, but the Lynx got hosed.
Whatever, Mr.
Listen,
Cheryl
man,
Reeves.
I'm here to tell you, when the free throw count is 25 for the home team and 8 for the visitors, and when these women are pounding each other physically for 4 straight quarters, and then Nafisa Collier can't get a call on a game-winning layup, and Breanna Stewart walks with the ball and then gets a foul without contact, well, then I've had enough.
Head coach Reeves.
I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Right? Bring it on, because this shit was stolen from us.
That's right, it was.
I said Reeves. Sorry about that.
Hey, it really was. And by the way, again, I'm not playing the homer card. I'm not pretending I've been really on board with the team all year. I'm excited for a local team to be doing well.
Yeah.
But this is the Lynx. They were going for their 5th NBA title. The Liberty have never won one. The WNBA wants a New York City team, blah, blah, blah. You can say it's all conspiracy. All I'm saying is this. Something led those referees to be phenomenally biased.
Yeah.
I'm watching it in disbelief all 4 quarters.
A lot of people here in Minnesota, and Tony, you can talk to this too. A lot of people in Minnesota will say, well, of course, they always want the teams on the coast, the big markets to win. That's who they want in the championship. And some of my friends will just come out and say, it's fixed. The fix is in. These things are rigged. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it certainly seems like there's always a bias with the big markets over the flyover country teams here.
I don't think it's rigged as in the commissioner looked at the refs and said, give the win. I just think there's things in the air and water sometimes of, hey, what's going to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of which, how happy is baseball for L.A., New York in the World Series?
Go.
Make no mistake about it. Suddenly, everybody's excited about baseball again. Number 4 in your top 5 and 6, the Minnesota Vikings also lost. But boy, what an entertaining game it was. Dramatic, gut-wrenching at times. All I know is this. I was begging for that ball to be downed at the final second. I wanted to see Will Reichard go out there and try one from 7 because I was convinced that kid will hit it. He's got an absolute cannon.
He's hit everything else this year.
Man,
everything else.
He's literally every other kick has gone through, and he has got an absolute cannon leg. The Lions, without Aiden Hutchinson, you got to give him credit. I mean, this is the team everybody's been afraid of throughout the entire league all season. They are the odds-on NFC pick, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. The Vikings accounted pretty well for themselves. Statistically, the game was way more even. I will admit, I felt like the Lions were in control throughout, especially after that second quarter. Darnold's one big mistake in the second quarter, that touchdown, it changed the dynamic of the whole rest of the game. You take away that pick, and maybe you get yourself a win, but that's football.
If you're going to make a comeback, win it while you're at it is one way to put it. But, it's...
One first down on that drive, Minnesota. Just get a first down when you need it. You know what I mean? Detroit was able to, and Minnesota wasn't.
Getting through it. Every team that plays Detroit this year is going to be in a shootout. I don't care how good your defense is. We saw one of the best defenses in the NFL with the Vikings yesterday. You're always going to be in a shootout with this team. That's they're hitting on all cylinders, and they've got a lot of cylinders in that machine. I liked what a lot of the Vikings players, more than one had, JJ and other players said after the game. We said going into the game we're going to find out a lot about this team. After the loss, they said, we're going to find out a lot about ourselves now that we've lost one. Now where do we go?
Yeah. Well, they go to L.A. in 3 days.
That's right.
The Rams are hardly a tough team this year, but a West Coast trip on a 3-day rest. The Vikings really need to regroup and get back off the schneid. Also, by the way, you mentioned the Lions are in a shootout every week. Jared Goff, he's at that magical place where the game, you can tell the game is in super slow motion, and he's still physically able. His body hasn't betrayed his brain yet.
Right.
It's going to be a good few more years for Goff in Detroit.
Oh, definitely.
Number 3 on your top 5 and 6. Chocolate prices have more than doubled since the beginning of this year. So when your going through your kid's Halloween bag, you're going to see a lot more Skittles than Reese Cups, apparently.
Hasn't slowed me down, apparently, but yeah, it's adding up.
Cocoa prices, again, more than doubled. West Africa is responsible for 70% of the world's cocoa supply, a lot of severe weather and droughts. So the candy companies are putting out way more sweet than chocolate this year at Halloween. Just prepare yourselves, all you parents who dig through the bag looking for a few extra things.
We have gas reserves here in the United States for strategic reasons.
Yep.
And, why the hell don't we have cocoa reserves? Come on, chocolate companies.
I imagine that'll be a new, that's the new protocol. It'll go in for 2025.
All right.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 6, University of Warwick in England. Students have created a hydrogen-powered race car. It runs on a byproduct of wastewater, which means it's running on sewage. It's the Waste to Race Le Mans prototype. It looks like it's a Le Mans looking car, like a street.
Yeah, it looks sweet.
It looks amazing. The entire car is built from recycled materials. A mirror made from a beetroot waste and a steering wheel that's 100% natural. But again, it is fueled on poop and pee.
Well, finally, fuel I can afford.
Man, no kidding.
I'm just flushing away a lot of fuel every day.
I was going to say, I feel like I've wasted a couple of miles already this morning. Man, I mean, it's a good out, but I could have used it it could have gone to some better usage. That's kind of a drag. We'll keep you posted on how well the poop and pee car works, but hey, I'm just happy people are still coming up with new ways to fuel the car.
Imagine taking a leak in somebody's gas tank and it actually helps them out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's going to change the way a lot of teenagers approach those long Saturday nights in small towns.
It's a good thing.
Number 1 on your top 5 at 6, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction over the weekend went down. A lot of oddball picks. A Cher, of course, Dave Matthews Band. You can say what you want. Are they rock? Are they not rock? You know who is rock? Ozzy Osbourne and Peter Frampton. We can all agree, at least on those selections. We've got a little bit of each induction here. What are you going to play first, Brian?
Let's go with Jack Black and bring it in Ozzy.
The greatest front man in the history of rock and roll, Ozzy Osbourne. Proving insane lasting power. Then what? The Osbournes. Yeah, he teamed up with his family to create another genre, reality TV. Maybe the most evil thing he ever did. But there is no denying it. His whole family were hilarious and intensely entertaining. Then what? Oh, maybe just a little thing called Ozfest. Only the most successful heavy metal music festival of all time.
And then Jack goes on like Jack goes on.
Sure he
but
does.
he's fairly entertaining and animated. And then Peter Frampton brought Roger Daltrey into the whole thing about how Roger Daltrey tried to school him on being a rock and roller back in the day.
One night, backstage, Keith Moon and John Entwistle had decided to show me the rock ropes and take me under their collective wing. Every time in the Herd's dressing room, I went near the window and looked out. All the girls would start screaming down below. The next thing I knew, I was being dangled out of the third-story window by my ankles.
There you go.
All right, Roger Daltrey
I was
brought...
17.
Oops.
Welcome to rock and roll.
There you go. Sorry, Pete. Roger Daltrey inducted him.
Right.
And
there-
it was
that- those were-
Whistle and Moon, as you might expect.
Frampton's comments upon being inducted. A big night for a lot of folks. The one quick follow-up, we told you last week, Foreigner original drummer Dennis Elliott said he didn't like the schedule. It turned out what he was upset about, why he did not appear, was the Hall would not allow his wife to accompany him on the red carpet. Why? What is going on with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? They've got some bizarre rules.
Yeah, they do.
Good morning, Shakopee.
Hey,
Shakopee. The original working title of Kiss's classic Shock Me was Shakopee. Shakopee, make me feel better. So just want to say good morning to all our friends down there who are listening in this morning. It's Monday, which means we got to get to some Monday morning leftovers. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Thank you, John Bon Jovi, for giving love a bad name right there. It's Monday, October the 21st. And as we do now on Mondays, we get in and we start hanging out before the show, and we're talking about, oh, that was kind of funny. We didn't get around to that one. That was a good story last week. We didn't get around to that one. Every Thursday, Friday, there's always stories we never have time to get to. So we're throwing out the Monday morning leftovers, and we're allowing our listeners to determine what sort of things we might talk about.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm going to share a few just headlines with you. Headlines. And then I want you to go to 651-989-ROCK, the KQ Talk and Text line, and send a text and let us know which of these stories at 650 we should address.
Okay.
We're going to clear out the pantry of the leftovers.
Okay, so each time you give us a headline, then there'll be a word at the end.
A keyword.
A keyword that then they'll text to.
You text that word,
Yeah.
and then Ryder will look at the poll results, and at 650, the stories you want to hear is what you will hear.
Okay.
Let's start at the top. Stupid criminal story. A man snuck into people's homes to smell their shoes. I mean, I like it already.
Yeah.
If you text the word shoes to 651-989-ROCK, you'll get the full story. How about this? Local story. Old Home has taken Kemps to court over the fate of an Iowa cottage cheese plant.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, you heard me.
Yeah, the border battle heats up a little bit.
Text the word cheese if you want to get the skinny on that one. Oh, here's one for Tony. AI, artificial intelligence, is on the hunt for extraterrestrials.
Well, I already know all there is to know about that.
Oh, maybe that we should, then you can share that. If you want to hear that story, text the word aliens. Text aliens. How about this one? A Nebraska man was arrested and suspected of eating a cat.
Oh, God.
Text the word cat.
I mean,
Isn't that supposed to be in Ohio?
I mean, is it a grass-fed cat?
Let's hope.
Free-range
I would
cat?
certainly hope.
Gross.
Let me tell you something, man. You don't want any meow mix in that
No.
digestive tract. Japanese competitive daydream competition crowns winner. That's a real headline. Japanese competitive daydream competition crowns winner.
As soon as they bring that to the United States.
Text the word dream if you want results on that, or just hang out with me during the day.
Right?
What are you talking about? And then finally, what's the most refreshing thing to drink cold liquid out of? What, the most refreshing thing? What's the most refreshing vessel for your cold liquid to flow from? Text the word drink to 651-989-ROCK.
Right.
So you got the cottage cheese, the cottage cheese plant. That's cheese is your text.
Yeah.
A man sneaking into homes to smell people's shoes. The word is shoes. AI is hunting for extraterrestrials. You can put the word aliens in that text. Okay. Refreshing drinks, put the word drink. Competitive daydream, put the word dream. And Nebraska man arrested for eating Bingo the cat. The word is cat. I don't know if it's bingo, but it just came to mind.
I kind of feel like doing a stoner leftover thing where I start to mix some of these together. I go AI on the hunt for the extraterrestrial smelling people's shoes.
Yeah.
Something
man.
like that. That would be fun. I don't want to confuse them.
I was daydreaming about eating that cat I saw. Man. I saw a video the other day over the weekend on Instagram. I had one of my wildlife rabbit hole things going, like looking at an account of just crazy animals. And there was a home. It was like up in Calgary, and a woman looks out on her back porch, and there's just a full-on cougar, a mountain lion, on her porch. And then you hear the woman scream Oreo because their cat named Oreo is under that mountain lion's paw, having already been dispatched.
I think it's too late.
And then it's just at the back door, looking in, like, look what I did. And I thought, man, it's a badass mountain lion right there.
Right.
So watch out. Yeah.
Well, they
Doesn't
usually
love
cats will
Oreos.
bring you a gift to your door to let you know that they care for
the
you.
big cat brought the little cat
Wow.
back. You looking for Oreo? I got it right here. Why don't you dunk this sumbitch in some milk? Get back to me. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Monday morning, October the 21st. Paul McCartney, Live and Let Die. I always say it, and it's not even true anymore, but I just, as a default, it's the best Bond theme ever to me. But then again, I grew up a Beatles nut. I like Wings.
Right.
It's my guy, but But then I'm like, then every now and again I hear Goldfinger, and I go, man, that's just bad.
What was her name? Shirley Massey?
Shirley Bassey.
Bassey.
And an acoustic guitar played by young teenaged Jimmy Page on Goldfinger.
That's right. He talked about it. They did a documentary on the songs of James Bond, and Jimmy Page had a little clip in there talking about sitting there with an acoustic guitar in the front row, watching her and she collapsed at the end of her performance.
Big note, she fell down, and that was it. Abbey Road Studios, man. Back when it was still called EMI Studios.
Right.
Yeah. That's how that works. Good Monday morning to everybody out there. Okay, Monday morning leftovers time. We put it to the test. We got a lot of text messages. So on Mondays, we want to clear out the old coffers, if you will. So there's stories we didn't have a chance to get to last week, and we let people text in and give us their preference. And now we've got the results of today's poll. 16% of the texts were for this story. Really? What's the most refreshing thing to drink cold liquid out of? There was a poll that asked people this question. My goodness, when you're really thirsty, what's the most refreshing thing? What vessel do you want that cold liquid to be poured into to then pour it down your gullet?
Your hands.
Your hands, number one. Number one answer, no. Actually, the number one answer was a glass bottle or a glass cup. Just something made of glass.
I'm getting pissed off we're even talking about this.
Me too.
The story in there. That's the leftovers that stays in the refrigerator until it's good and rotten.
We put this one in there as it was like a cheat code, it was like a default, like no one will want that one, and now everyone wants to know.
I think they were looking for some mystical, magical answer, like, I don't know, is it a moon rock, a cup made from moon? No, it's just, I don't know what it is. Aluminum? What does beer come in?
Beer comes in an aluminum can.
There
8% of people polled said that's what they prefer. 5% said a plastic cup. That was the least popular choice. I'm going to make it one worse. Yeah. The Gorman family, lot of basketball in the driveway. Lot of 21, lot of one-on-one, lot of one-on-two, lot of three-on-three, whatever. It was constantly playing basketball outside. And then running in to get a quick drink to quench the thirst. In our family, it was whole milk.
Oh, yeah.
Big tubs of milk. And by the way, always in a big plastic tumbler.
Yeah.
Just whole milk in a plastic cup on a sweaty summer day playing basketball. What the hell was wrong with us?
And you lifted the cup one time. Just right to the bottom. That reminds me of that Anchorman scene where he's, running back, and I think milk was a bad choice.
If you gave me one cup, an actual cup, 8 ounces of whole milk right now, I don't think I could get it down. I can't remember the last time I drank whole milk. I can't remember the last time I drank any milk. I mean, I have a little almond milk on cereal sometimes. That's it. Because I was probably in my 30s when it dawned on me, hey, milk doesn't really work for my stomach anymore. No wonder I've had an upset stomach my whole freaking life.
If I tried to guzzle a glass of milk, it would start coming out before I was done getting it in.
That's how that works. Okay, 27% of the text messages wanted us to talk about shoes, specifically this story. A gentleman in Greece was convicted of disturbing his neighbors. What was he doing? He was sneaking onto his neighbors' properties, going into their homes at night, during the day, anytime he could, to smell shoes. Repeatedly sneaking onto properties to smell their shoes. When asked in court to explain his actions, he said simply, I don't know why I do this. I am, however, greatly embarrassed.
What's that smell? It smells like sweat and anger and shame.
Yeah. I am what I am.
I think if he had, the problem is it's just uncomfortable breaking into people's houses. If you had just gone door to door and say, I think like 1 out of every 3 doors would have said, we'll put a pair out for you.
Well,
overnight.
if you're in I'm imagining it's a village in Greece and you know everybody and you all go back generations, and every now and again you're going to have a baby that gets dropped on its head, and that baby grows up to want to smell your shoes. And let him go.
They don't wear socks in Greece. Did you know that?
No, it's against the law.
Yeah, that's smelly.
He did say also to the judge he never intended to break the law. He never wanted to harm anyone. And the victims did confirm he's never been aggressive. He just, not to me. To the door lock, he's aggressive on that.
Do they have Salvation Army there? Because there's a whole bunch of old shoes you can down there. Yeah,
that's really true. Speaking of which, he also was smelling the shoes of entire families. It wasn't like smelling the women's shoes or the dog. It was any any shoes he could find.
Not selective.
All right.
Just wanted to get all in there.
Wonder how much makes for a hit. How long do you inhale?
Right? And it's going to be different if it's like the work boot versus the dress shoe.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think, if you're in Greece, you're talking. There's going to be some sandals at play too.
Oh yeah.
There's
Opa.
I would imagine that there's a lot of fragrant, a lot of very flavorful odors, pungent. Maybe you could even go so far as to say, because you're adding in all those great spices, and then it's humid. It's a humid environment. That's what it is.
What about the guy we had like a week or two ago that was caught at a car wash under a woman's car just to check out her bare feet?
Yep.
I wonder, if these things, would they call each other weird? Be like, dude, you're weird smelling shoes. You're weird looking at feet. No, you're weird.
Going under a car. All I did was break into my neighbors and smell their shoes. It wasn't about the feet. It's about the shoe. There's a difference.
Yeah, those two would not be good cellmates.
No, I don't think so. And then finally, just to confirm how sick our listeners are, the number one story with 35% of the text messages received. And I do want to say again, seriously, thanks for all. We got a ton of text messages. It's amazing. 35% wanted us to discuss the fact that in Kimball, Nebraska, a man named Eldon Blake Lewis has been arrested, and he is facing charges because apparently he tracked down, killed, butchered, and ate a neighbor's cat. Oh, my goodness.
Tastes like chicken, I understand.
Is that what they say?
I ate a cat. I'm on Quora, this online forum. I ate cat's meat. It's a little bit unpleasant taste with an aftertaste reminiscent of swimming pool water.
Oh, well then, hang on. I need to rethink this. I've never heard of anybody tracking and hunting a cat, except for there was a roving group of dogs in my neighborhood as a kid. They weren't random dogs. They were neighborhood dogs that would always get. This is in the day when you would just open your door and say go, and your dog would leave and run around the neighborhood and then come back when it was hungry.
It's like in the Disney movies.
Exactly like the Disney movies. And there was a group of dogs in the neighborhood, and we all knew everyone's dogs. And then one day they were seen as in a pack, and our dog Rusty was one of them. We had a Springer Spaniel, but he was running with like a Great Dane and a couple of cur-looking like junkyard dogs. And people were saying like, hey, there's 5 or 6 dogs, and they're roaming around. And when you get 5 or 6 dogs into a pack,
like
look
teenagers.
Out. And by God, they tracked down the Boyd's cat, and the poor Boyd family. It was that Great Dane tracked that sucker down.
I bet it was leashes after that.
It was the dogs. The Great Dane Muffet. For the record, Muffet was the one accused. Apparently had the telltale signs of feline blood all over his mouth. Muffet.
Yeah, so I assume this guy is just insane. I mean, he looks like some insane swashbuckler. Did you see the picture with the red hair?
He does. He looks like he'd fit in at a lot of places. A pirate movie, a Renaissance festival, the Princess Bride. He kind of is going for that look, the Wesley vibe. Yeah, he's got an interesting old vibe going to him, and apparently that vibe led to him deciding he needed to hit a cat. That's not cool, man.
Not cool at all.
Not cool at all. Good morning, South Minneapolis.
Hey.
Not us here in Minneapolis. I'm talking South Minneapolis. I want to say, what's up?
Yeah, plenty of good dive bars. I lived in South Minnie for a number of years at a couple of different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no problem with South Minneapolis. I don't think South Minneapolis had any problems with me.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't remember. Those were hazy days.
I suppose maybe in a bathroom stall or two there could be some derogatory comments.
I have a question. It's kind of rhetorical. Based on when I hear you give the traffic updates every day around here.
That's right.
And I think that those are leading me to the answer. Are we good drivers? Do we still remember how to drive? What do we think? Look in the mirror, honestly. Are you a good driver? Let's discuss. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The members of Led Zeppelin, all in different interviews over the years, said, yeah, we played Stairway a few times live before the album came out. And you think, like, oh, man, audiences must have been blown away. And they're like, no, they just stared at us like, what the hell are you doing? Like, play something we know. Even Zeppelin. Like, you look back and you're like, they could do anything. They were the biggest rock band in the world. People were in awe. Like, no, they weren't. They were like, what is this? What is this weird song?
Well, yeah, it's different. I think I've been to shows. I remember seeing Tom Petty, and he came out and did Free Fallin'. Or was it Free Fallin'? Now I can't remember, and I have the worst memory for this stuff, but I remember thinking, Oh, the new music. Yeah, okay, man. Damn the torpedoes. Back to damn the. And then, like 2 weeks later, or something ridiculous like that. It was number one and on every radio station, and I was just belting along with it.
Sure, you were.
But yeah.
I saw Men at Work in 1983. Who Can It Be Now? Huge song. You know, they for a couple hot years there, they were the biggest band in the world. And their first American tour, I was at the first show of that first tour. Like, okay, someone just said I got a ticket. I was like, sure, I'll go check it out. And they were good, really good band. And in the middle of that show, for about probably 3 minutes, which felt like 30, they were clearly just jamming. And I remember thinking, man, go rehearse at home. Give me some songs I've ever heard. And then, 10 years later, I'm in a band that's just jamming our career into the ditch. Like, no, really, check this out. Let's see what happens. Like, it takes all kinds.
Maybe if you guys had a sax.
Well, never really had the chutzpah to pull that trigger. Never got the sax player. Looking back, maybe that was the difference. Maybe that's what we needed.
Yeah.
92 KQRS presents Iron Maiden tomorrow night at XL Energy Center. Great day in the morning. Iron Maiden. You can get tickets at 92KQRS.com. What kind of driver do you think you are? Now, I mean, I've been driving now 40 years almost. It'll be, or is it over 40? Yeah, over 40 years. What am I talking about? And I think I'm a pretty good driver. But here's the question. How do you think you'd do if you took a driver's test right now? Tony, you've been driving longer than any of us. Put you in the drive. I'm just saying, you're a little older. I'm assuming you got your license when you were 16, like any God-fearing, good, red-blooded American would.
Yeah, I did.
Take a driver's test in 2024. How do you think you're going to do?
I'd probably make a boo-boo or two, just forgetting on what's what.
Yeah. A recent poll asking Americans, 40% said they're confident they could ace it. Only 40% of us feel like we could ace the driver's test. 25% admitted they would probably fail, which is shocking. It's not a civics test. It's not like when someone becomes an American citizen, you read the test they take. I'm like, crap, I don't remember all this stuff.
No way.
And I used to enjoy that, and I don't remember it. But driving, we do it every day. But yeah, I guess there's probably a lot of rules and regulations we just long ago forgot if we ever learned them in the first place.
I have the KQ traffic page up. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who wouldn't pass every morning.
That's it,
I'm like, what is it, like clearing 62 out this morning? Although we had a couple of Fridays, we had the morning off, and I made the mistake. I slept in, of course. I was like, I don't have any food. I'm going to go over to Good Day and get some breakfast, and ended up out on 394. It was like, oh my God, you would have to pay me. I'm sorry, folks. You'd have to pay me like $1 million to do that every day. That's crazy out there. It's combat driving, and people are driving with their knees, and you can see phones on steering wheels, and so that wouldn't pass the driving test. But I don't know, what do you got to do? You got to parallel park? What else do you have to do in the driving test? Use your blinker. Don't forget that one.
Lane
Come
changes.
to a complete stop.
Yeah. A lot of complete stuff. There's the one that would have tripped me up had I not been tipped off by my older brother. Is you're driving on a road, and then the guy says, "Okay, let's do it. Let's turn around and go the other way." But you can't do a U-turn. That's illegal.
Yeah.
Basically, it was you do a 3-point turn where he's like, pull into that driveway and then pull back out and turn around and go the other way.
Yeah.
And what you're supposed to do is you go past the driveway, then you reverse into the driveway, then pull out going forward, as opposed to turning in and then backing out of a driveway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
And if my brother hadn't told me that, I know I would have just turned in and then backed out. And he goes, no, you back in and then pull out straight. And that was, I felt like, the saving grace of the driving test.
Right. That's a tough one.
I was so, when he suggested I do that, I pulled in like, oh yeah.
Secret knowledge.
Felt pretty good about that one.
My granny had to take her driver's test in later years, and they had her park in between these flags that were supposed to represent actual vehicles. Of course, she knocked him over, and she's like, well, I didn't
flags.
hit a car. They're flags. We got in this huge argument.
Yeah.
Did not pass.
Oh.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, my sister's youngest son took his driving test, and they failed him because as they were driving, his phone went off. Now, they tell you, make sure all that shut off. And she said, I was going to take it from him, but it was in his pocket, and I forgot. And his phone went off, and he thought he was doing the right thing by, while taking the driving test, taking the phone out of his pocket and shutting the ringer off. He said, let me get... They're like, you can't handle your phone during the... It's like,
Crippling. Ryder, you're the most recent person to take a driver's test around here. How'd you do?
I mean, we're talking 25 years.
But still, it beats 40.
I had to redo the parallel parking.
Oh,
that's a
man.
tricky one.
But I still passed. No, Dad saw me do it the second time. He was just disappointed.
Yeah. We didn't have parallel parking out in South Dakota. That seriously was not part of the test. I don't think anyone that lives in South Dakota has ever parallel parked, ever. Maybe
I didn't when I was
there. Maybe in
there.
Sioux Falls. I don't know. But it doesn't happen a lot. Just go to the next block.
My daughter Marley got her test during COVID, like 2020. You know, pandemic's raging, everything shut down, but they were still offering driver's tests. And I drove her to the place, and she got out, and she goes inside. Then I watch her walk out of the building with the driving instructor. They get in the car, or I'm standing there. They're both wearing masks. You know, it's all doing a protocol. She pulls out of the parking lot, and I'm not exaggerating. 90 to 120 seconds later, tops, they pull back in. And I'm thinking, oh, man, she already blew it.
Yeah.
And she gets out, and I'm like, what happened? She goes, I just passed. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
90 seconds.
Like, the COVID driving test was, can you get out of the parking lot? Okay, now can you get back in? Good. Get out of here, kid. It's like, wow. We're really dropping the lowering the bar here.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, there's so many things in the driving test you're not going to get. You're not going to get a commute to work on 494 at a driving test. You know, a lot of the stuff you just got to learn out there on your own, you know.
15% of drivers in this poll admitted they've never looked at their car owner's manual.
That comes with a manual?
Apparently so. Right there in the glove box, usually.
No.
I haven't. I don't look. I mean, I used to look, I'm sure. There was a time, but only when a specific thing comes up and you got to find out. But I remember very clearly my family bought a new car in the 70s, and it was a Dodge Dart. There's a lot of Dodge Darts in my past, but the family Dodge Dart, the 75 Swinger, I remember walking into the living room, and I'm like, looking at my mom. I'm like, what is that? She goes, it's the manual for the new car, honey. And she's just sitting there reading it. I'm like, wow.
Familiarize yourself.
That's pretty cool. Looking back now, I'm like, wow. At the time, I thought, oh, that's just what you must do. Of course you better read that book. You're going to drive that thing. No, not so much me. I've had a car here 2 years. Don't even think it's nothing. Yeah. Never even occurred to me to look at that bad boy.
Mine's still all nice and neatly wrapped in that little binder in the glove box, but I do occasionally app it up. You know, I'll go to not the app, or just the search menu, because there's so many electronics and apps in your vehicle now. I'm like, how do I shut that off, or how do I turn that on? So every once in a while I'll check in, but the old days I think the first vehicle I ever had, I sat down with the manual because it was fun. I was like,
sure, it was
like a rocket ship, man. I want to figure out how it works.
It's a new relationship. You want to get to know it.
Yeah. How do I get the seats all the way back?
There you go. I bought an old car in 1994. I bought what was then a 30-year-old Dodge Dart myself, a 64 Dart, and it was a convertible. You hit the button, electric, self-opening thing,
and that worked.
And push-button transmission on the dash.
Wow!
Park. Yeah, that thing was badass. Yeah. And I bought it from the original owner, and it was 30 years old, and it had like 6,000 miles on it. I'm not exaggerating.
64?
64.
That probably had the big engine in it back then.
It was a slant six.
Yeah.
It was just no. Sorry, that was the later Dart. I've had a lot of Dodge Darts in my life.
I shouldn't be talking cars. It
wasn't a slant six. That was in the 70s. No, this car was amazing. My brother, I gave this car to my brother. Long story, but he still has it, and he just taunts me with photos occasionally, like, hey, remember when you thought it was cool to give me this? And I'm like, no, what was I thinking? But I read that manual start to finish. It was like 4 pages long.
Yeah, right. They used to be.
Put the key in, turn it on. If you run out of gas, put your thumb out. I mean, that was it. That was the whole driver's instruction.
Roll down windows, grab handle.
By the way, it was a 2-door, and it was bigger than any modern station wagon now. That car is, anytime I see it, I'm still like, I can't believe how big that bad boy was. Awesome. But you do have to know how things on your car work. You got to know how to get that top down. You got to know, let's say there's a trunk or even a back hatch, like on a station wagon. You want to make sure you know how to open it. It's probably important to know how to lock it as well, which is what a funeral home in Poland is realizing. They have made a public apology because in traffic, In a hearse, a corpse fell out of the hearse right into traffic.
Whoopsie.
The funeral home, the Hades Funeral Service, or maybe it's pronounced Hades, which would really be something, wouldn't it? They blamed the incident on, quote, an unexpected technical failure of the vehicle's lock. They apologized, quote, to all who were disappointed and upset by this event. Yeah, driving down the street on Friday, a gentleman called the police. He said, I almost ran over a body in the middle of the street.
Was it not in a casket, or was it?
I guess it was not. There's an image of a corpse lying on a white striped pedestrian crossing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you got him in the back of the hearse. Put him in a box, if nothing else. If it's not the official coffin or casket yet.
Yeah, I don't know how that works exactly. Well, that's a great Shocktober story. That's a good one. I like that one.
It reminds me, for any reason ever, have you ever ridden in a hearse? Like one that was out of service and your friend bought it because he was cool. Yeah, something like that.
That was an old ambulance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, I've come to think of it, never been in a hearse.
Speaking of Shocktober, so in high school, a friend of mine died. It's terrible, awful, sad story.
Yeah.
And my brother Doug and I served at his funeral as like the acolytes, altar boys. We were his, there's not a lot of Catholics in the town I grew up in, and he was Catholic and we were Catholic, and his mom said, "Would you guys mind serving his funeral?" Well, of course, the answer is yes. The last thing I wanted to do, but at the same time, I'm honored. After the funeral at the church, we're getting ready to head to the cemetery, and the priest looks over to me and my brother, and we're in those robes, and we were not normally altar boys, so I had to be told how to do all this stuff. And he goes, "Are you guys? Well, let's just pile in here, and we'll all ride together." And he asked us to ride to the cemetery of my friend in the hearse.
Does that call shotgun?
And I said it had like a second row, and I said no, and he was like, "Oh, what's the matter?" Like some out of touch old jerk priest. He goes, "Oh, what's the matter?" I go, "What's the matter?"
Nightmares.
Like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I'll find a ride with any of these other 70 cars that are going. I haven't thought of that in years. I'm still mad at that guy. What the hell's wrong with you? Going over there, hey, hop a ride. No, I'm good, thanks. But I would probably take a ride in a Ferrari if you offered me one. That would be the latest Ferrari, the F80. Ferrari has a new hypercar, their first in 11 years. They are only making 799 of these, not 800, 799.
Now, what's a hypercar?
A hypercar is, that's right, 1,200 horsepower.
All right, is that the hypercar? I mean, obviously, but I
believe that would be the hyper part.
We're just adding, like, we're done with max and mega and words like this, and now we're going with hyper as the
F80. It's also a hyper price tag, $3.9 million. And all 79 have been sold ahead of time.
Can I spread that out over, what is it, 7 years? Can I get like 70 years on that?
7-year financing? We can make that work.
All right.
Get you a nice low rate. That'll be something.
Jeez.
I've struggled to imagine who's going to get this car and not wrap it around a utility pole. Anybody who can afford $4 million for this car, trust me, you're not a good enough driver to handle this car.
It would be a fun car.
Maybe
to
Tom
die in.
Cruise. I bet Tom Cruise could handle it.
Yeah.
But nobody else. Nope. I guarantee you, Jay-Z's going to wrap this thing right around a tree.
I mean, if I'm going to go, I'll go in the Ferrari, the $5 million Ferrari.
I mean, I guess there's worse ways to go.
Right.
I guess.
Going in style.
Going in style for sure. Hey, the Minnesota Wild are playing a lot of hockey these days. And we got tickets. I think because it's Monday, we should probably give some away. And if I'm not mistaken, I do see a loaf of bread and a toaster. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning, Monday, October the 21st. Ragdoll from Aerosmith. Steven Tyler originally wrote the lyric Ragtime. He was just looking for a little, I don't know, let's talk about that crazy music from the 1920s. and a writer, a fixer, if you will, a hit maker type of person came in the studio at the request of the label and heard the song and went, Ragtime? How about Ragdoll? And that's all she said. And Tyler went, hey, that's better, and she got a full writing credit for it. Hey, the Minnesota Wild are playing the Tampa Bay Lightning November 21st. That is next weekend at the Xcel Energy Center. And we got tickets, and we would love to give them away. We need 2 callers. Right now, callers 9 and 2 at 651-989-ROCK can compete for tickets to see the Wild and the Lightning. 651-989-ROCK, callers 9 and 2. Get on the horn. In the meantime, let's talk about Hugo, Minnesota.
Good old Hugo I don't know. What about Hugo?
I was stoked on Hugo, too.
I had a good time. I've got some good friends that live up there. I remember when that tornado came through there years ago, flattened some houses. And one of my good friends, Dan McKay, out there.
Uh-oh.
House got flattened. They found the bass, the trophy bass mount, though, that his son Jack caught.
Really?
They were able to salvage that. But, yeah.
Can't keep a good bass down.
That's right.
Right on. Well, good morning, Hugo. We're glad to have you with us on a Monday night. I did not pay attention to the stream. I'll watch the edited version after the fact. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony went down on Saturday night. Foreigner, at long last, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a band that I would imagine should have gone in literally decades ago. Your first album has to be 25 years old before you go in. Their first album came out in 1977. It's insane that it took this long to get Foreigner in there. But we did get some information as to why original drummer Dennis Elliott chose not to attend.
Yeah.
He said last week the schedule was not up to snuff. We didn't appreciate the fact that they didn't let us know the protocols and the schedule with enough lead time. It turned out, reports are, what was really going on was he was told by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, your wife is not allowed to walk the red carpet with you.
Why the hell?
I've got to know if that's real. I mean, that's what the several reports have said.
Yeah.
That's what the problem was.
Did they provide you with a groupie or something?
And if that's the case... If that's the case, listen, man, we've brought these girls in from Romania just for this. If that's the problem, if that's the issue, then what on earth? Who at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame makes that decision? Are you going to tell me Dave Matthews' wife wasn't allowed on the red carpet? Right. Peter Frampton wasn't allowed to bring whoever the hell he wanted? What are you kidding me? The guy's band is going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Who's the guy they got rid of? Jan Werner?
Jan Wenner. Jan Wenner.
I'm going to call him J-Dub.
J-Dub.
JW. I thought that he was the source of all that sort of nonsense.
Every time this comes around, there's always at least one thing where you go, "That really? They said that? Why are they doing that?" The whole $10,000 a seat thing.
Oh, Steve Miller right here. Remember this?
When they told me I was inducted, they said you can have 2 tickets, one for your wife and one for yourself. Want another one? It's $10,000. Sorry, that's the way it goes. I'm playing here. What about my band? They make this so unpleasant that they came this close. We're not going to wrap this one up. I'm going to wrap you up.
Yeah.
Whoa. You go sit down over there and learn something.
Yeah, man. Steve Miller.
Salty Steve.
Not the Joker on that good night, as they say. All right, let's get to it. We'll have more Rock and Roll Hall of Fame information as it comes in, but I just thought the no wife on the red carpet thing, it's like, you got to be... Hey, you've been married to this guy for 40 years? Sorry. No. Or 4 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's his wife. All right, Tony. We got a couple of callers. Looks like they're ready to play. And as it's Monday, I'm so excited.
Fire it up. It's time for...
Wakey, eggs and bacon.
Toast.
Toast.
I would like toast.
Who wants toast? I love toast.
When this guy put some bread in a toaster, you won't believe what happened next.
You've got bread and a toaster of some kind.
Can you make me a grilled cheese sandwich?
Your breakfast is ready.
I didn't hear a ding.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
All we need to do is beat the toaster.
Beat the toaster.
It's a game show. Beat the toaster.
Breakfast is ready.
Toast. It's time for toast. It's time again to beat the toaster. Here's what we're going to do. There's a toaster here in the studio. We're going to pop a slice of bread in there, and then we give you a category that requires some thought, and you list and name spontaneously whatever pops into your head, as many as possible, but you only have 15 seconds to do so before the toast pops. Toast.
Oh, toast. And it looks like a nice pumpernickel rye, which is always my favorite.
That's exactly what it is.
All right, let's get to it. Tony, who's contestant number 1?
First to toast it up is Bonnie from Roseville.
Bonnie, good morning.
Good morning.
Bonnie, give me your favorite band.
Oh, Van Halen.
I like it. No hesitation. Favorite team?
Minnesota Wild.
Right on. Van Halen and the Wild. All right, we're going to beat the toaster. Time for round one. Bonnie, we wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
All right, Bon, your category, scented candles that would not sell well at Bed Bath & Beyond. Go.
A fart smell, rotten eggs, baby diapers, a bathroom after anybody's been in it, gas station, broccoli, cauliflower.
Wow.
Brain's working this morning.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 I got. That add up? I got
7 too.
All right.
Rotten
7 it
eggs,
is.
baby diaper, bathroom, gas station, broccoli, cauliflower. Boom.
Quite a variety, too.
Man, Bonnie is well versed in her putrid smells. Very well played, Bonnie.
From poop to veggies.
Man. 2 lines, no waiting. All right, Bonnie, we're going to put you on hold for a sec. That was a great first round. Tony, who's contestant number 2?
Number 2 is Betsy from Monticello.
Betsy, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's turn that radio down, Bets.
I gather don't know.
All right, thanks. Give me your favorite band.
It would be the Eagles.
Eagles. Give me your favorite team.
Of course, the Minnesota Wild.
Oh, the Wild. Okay, good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, but Bonnie was rocking it there, so I'm a little nervous. I'm kind of shaking in my boots.
All right. Well, you know what? You know what? Just if you're feeling backed in the corner, just swing that much harder. Let's do this. Round 1, Betsy.
All right.
Good luck.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go, Bets. Things that make a neighborhood very noisy. Go ahead.
Barking dogs, screaming kids, loud cars, people fighting and yelling, fireworks, tractors, cows.
Yeah.
Construction tractors, heavy junk.
Right.
Dogs, kids, cars, people fighting, fireworks, tractors. That's 6, Betsy. Fire. I mean,
maybe out in Watertown, you get a tractor going through a neighborhood. Sure.
That's fantastic. Man, everybody's had their coffee this morning around here. That's exciting stuff. All right, very well played. Round 2 is, of course, when we separate the wheat from the chaff. Let's get back to Bonnie for round 2. Bonnie, you still with us?
I am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Benita, what are some ways to effectively annoy a chimp? Go ahead.
To mock it, to yell at it, to throw poop at it, to wave at it, to bang your hand on the glass or the bars, to throw things at it, stick your tongue out at it, yell at it.
Oh, wow.
Well, we got 2 yells in there, but we did get mocking, yelling, throwing poop.
Mm-hmm.
There was I think I got 5 total.
Yeah.
Mock, yell, throw poop, thumb your nose was it? I had 5. I was keeping count.
Yeah, because there was 2
what they were.
throws.
There was two mock or 2 yells, I guess should say. So that's a grand total of 13, which is a strong effort, Bonnie. Very well played. Now it's time for Betsy. All right, you got your work cut out for you. 7 gets you the tie. 8 gets you the win, Betsy. Good luck.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's go.
You can do it, Bets. Strap in. Now, if you were the host of a talk show and you wanted to really embarrass a guest, what would you ask? Go ahead.
What are your fetishes? Who was your first kiss? Who was your worst date? When did you last poop? What is your...
Well, I would like to answer all these questions.
Yes, Zep, go ahead.
Not embarrassing at all.
A fetish. And oddly, the first and the last question have a lot to do with each other.
I was going there myself. I have this weird fetish about talking about my last poop. Does that mean it's only one answer?
Oh, Tony, you son of a gun! You set him up to knock him down.
Watch your language,
Betsy. That was a 4, but it was a great 4. Sadly, not quite enough, as it looks like Bonnie with 13 is going to be today's winner. Bonnie, you just got tickets to see the Wild and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ladies, really solid effort on both your parts. Thank you so much.
Hey, great. Happy Monday.
Yeah, very happy Monday. Right on. Man, that was good stuff right there.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Tone, you and then beat the toaster every time. That's the best. Speaking of the best, how about this? How about Iron Maiden tickets and Danny Trejo? I ain't making it up. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, October the 21st. Good morning. Hope your day thus far is heading in the right direction. Last week, had a chance to chat with Danny Trejo, because when someone says, hey, do you want to talk with Danny Trejo? The answer is, of course, why, yes, I do.
Danny, good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm blessed, homie. How you doing?
Man, it's good to talk with you. Let's talk about Gracie and Pedro. The kind of movie I'm sure 50 years ago you just knew you'd be making.
Hey, 50 years ago I was the mean Chicano dude with tattoos.
It's funny how things change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every time your name comes up in any conversation, it could be at the radio station, it could be with friends having a drink somewhere. You are such a subject of fascination. You understand your life is beyond that of a great work of fiction, right? Nobody could have made this whole course up for you.
You know what? It's that funny because I wrote a book called My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood. And I read it and I said, this is like a fairy tale.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Four beautiful kids. I got, granddaughter. It's like, what is going on? And I was destined to go to the gas chamber.
That's a bit of a leap, my man. Is it challenging to do animation work, where you have to read the script? And I mean, do you see the images before?
You're being hired. Like when you're acting, you're being hired for your acting ability and the way you look. Okay. Voiceover, they don't care how you look. It's like your voice. So I see actors try to change their voice and they get in trouble because, wait a minute, that's not why we hired you.
Mm-hmm.
You know
right.
what I mean? If I try to change no. We hired Trejo. It's okay.
That's great. Everything about you is so unique. I mean, the voice, it makes perfect sense that people would know exactly what they're getting when they line it up. Before I forget, because this was really the most important thing, when are you going to get a taco truck to Minneapolis?
Let me see. I got one. I got a restaurant going in Detroit. And now I think we're looking back for east, back east.
Okay.
I know that in all the Live Nation concerts, we have a Trejo's pop-up, so.
That is impressive. That's kind of mind-boggling. What's next, man? Have you got any other? Where's the next Machete? Where's the next, Dead Again and Tombstone?
On the radio station, Robert Rodriguez, we want to see Machete kills in space. Stop being a wuss. Let's make it.
That's all it's going to take. That would be fantastic. Have you done a space movie?
No. Elon Musk, in the end of Machete Kills, sends me to space. But Robert's never, done it, and...
well, it's high time.
Tesla.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, man. We'll make it work out. Danny, is there another cookbook in the works? What else? I mean, other than trying to get you to space.
Trejo, My Life of Crime, Redemption in Hollywood. And that made number 2 on the bestseller. And the cookbooks now are on their 10th printing, so they're doing pretty good, and all my mom's recipes. And she used to be just a great cook, Now with my record label, I'm having so much fun. I'm going to concerts and stuff and being, 5 years old again.
What's the last great concert you saw?
Well, I go to the oldies concerts, the different oldies, Tierra and those guys, and those are the guys.
Right. It's football season. Are you a Rams guy?
Well, yeah, come on. I used to sneak into the Rams. I used to sneak into the Coliseum in 1957.
Oh,
so funny because you would just get with the family and walk in. Oh, look, that white family's adopted that little Mexican kid.
That's great.
Some ladies, scared to death.
Yeah, I bet. Danny, man, it's a real pleasure to talk with you as always. We will certainly pump up the new movie.
Also, I did another film called Seven Cemeteries, which is a unbelievable zombie movie. I think it's one of the best ones I've done.
7 Cemeteries, right on. All right.
And there's another one that's coming out called 1521. It's when the Spaniards tried to take over the Philippines.
The hardest working man in show business, Danny Trejo. Man, Continued health and happiness, brother. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Danny Trejo on the KQ Morning Show right there. Hey, speaking of Danny Trejo, and speaking of the fact that we got some Iron Maiden tickets sitting around right here, let's get to it. How about this? How about we're going to play Yes or BS, Danny Trejo edition for Iron Maiden tickets. We're ready to do that, except that we need 2 people to call in. We'll take 2 callers at 651-989-ROCK right now to play Yes or BS, Danny Trejo edition. Winner gets Iron Maiden tickets for tomorrow night.
Hot damn.
Yeah, hot damn indeed. And while we await our contestants, here's a couple things you and I already know, but I'll share it with our listeners just in case. If you want to sleep better at night, here's what you avoid. 1, processed junk food.
Oh, okay. Oops. Strike 1.
2, anything with high fat or acid content, which means anything that has flavor.
Like processed junk food?
Yeah.
All right.
3, anything with caffeine. We all know that.
Yeah, that was a mistake I made yesterday.
Greasy, heavy meals is number 4.
Really? I thought that would knock, it seems to.
It knocks you out, but then it gets you up. And then finally, no nightcaps. They say, no, alcohol doesn't work right before sleep.
Malarkey. I say you go all in. You can't mess around with it. You just can't have a sip. You got to get a good buzz going.
My priority, it's not to stay asleep. It's just to get to sleep. then all bets are off.
The rest takes care of itself.
But here's the list of things they say to eat. If you have to eat or later in the in the evening, this is for a better night's sleep. Bananas.
All right.
Almonds.
Sure.
Cherries.
Gee whiz.
Oatmeal. I could see that. A little warm oatmeal.
Bowl of oatmeal before bed.
Turkey, Greek yogurt, warm milk. Okay, never mind. You know what? Bowl of chili and a beer.
Yeah.
It's been working for me on Sundays for years.
First of all, no one has to eat before they go to bed. The reason we're eating is for the flavor, for the junk.
Yeah, sure.
The goodness of it all. No one has to eat. Well, if you have to eat, have some nuts and a banana. Well, I don't have to eat. So since I don't have to eat, I'm just going to have that. I like the beer and the chili.
Yeah, quick shout out to me for yet another wonderful batch of football chili yesterday.
Oh
man, I come to the house on a Sunday. You're gonna have a bowl of chili and some football, and it just works.
I've been picking out on that goulash over at the grocery store.
Oh yeah,
the goulash. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm the guy that if you're right behind me and you want goulash, you're not getting any.
That's you.
I'm loading it up.
Yeah, attaboy. All right, are we set to play? Are we set to pop here with this game?
Yeah, we be ready. We got 2 callers ready to rock.
All right, we got 2 callers for a little yes or BS, I believe is the case.
And it's yes or BS speed round.
That is bull. Yes, I say that is bull. Oh my God, that is bull. Answer is yes. Answer is yes. Oh, I don't need that. Okay, here we go now. Game is yes. Yes.
The KQ Morning Show presents
yes or BS.
I feel dizzy.
I like it. All right, quickly. Vamonos.
Vamonos.
Who we got, Tony?
Line 1 is Tanya from St. Louis Park, and on 2 is JC from Fridley.
Tanya and JC, good morning.
Good morning.
We got you both?
Good morning.
All right. Okay, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to give a question. I'm going to give you guys a question. I'm going to issue a statement, I should say, about Danny Trejo. And the answer is either yes for true or BS for false. Here's how it's going to work. I will read the question, and then you, Tanya or JC, if you think you know the answer, say your name. Whoever calls in first will have a chance to answer. If anybody gets 3 answers right, they got these tickets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna lay it out there. If you know it, Tanya, say Tanya, and if you know it, JC, say JC, and then we'll try to keep you guys from getting into a fight on the phone. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Danny Trejo once met Charles Manson in the L.A. County Jail. Yes or BS?
Tanya.
Tanya chimed in right away. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Trejo referred to him as a dirty, greasy, scrawny white boy.
Taking him out, man.
Of all the things he's been called, that's actually the nicest.
Right.
All right, Tanya, you're up for. You got 1. Here we go. Up next, Danny Trejo has said that his mustache is a tribute to Spanish conquistador Francisco Vasquez de Coronado. Yes, sir.
JC.
Tanya already chimed in. I'm sorry, JC. Tanya, what do you got?
I'm going to have to say yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is BS.
Bull malarkey.
That is BS. All right, number 3. Danny Trejo doesn't use an oven, a stove, or a microwave. If he's JC. Answer it,
True,
JC.
yes. Yes.
I'm sorry. It's BS. You should have let me finish.
Yeah, what
He only heats food outdoors on a charcoal Weber grill. No, that's not true.
Yeah, he's not a brand name. A Weber? Come on, probably a Smoky Joe.
Sure. All right. Right now, Tanya's got 1. JC still got to get on the board. All right. Next up, Danny Trejo and director Robert Rodriguez are second cousins, a fact they did not realize until filming Desperado. JC chimed in.
Yes.
That is correct, sir.
We have a tie ball game here, boys and girls.
Right now, we're tied. All right. Here's
Next question takes it.
The next question is gonna be the winner. You guys are tied. Wait till I say yes or BS. Let me get it all out. I'll say yes or BS. First person who chimes in is gonna get it.
Zap.
Danny Trejo is 80 years old. Yes or BS?
I heard Tanya.
A writer says she heard Tanya. We got to go with the producer's call. Tanya, yes or BS?
Yes.
The answer is yes, and there it is. Tanya.
JC can fight.
Boy, speed round, yes or BS, kind of sounds like BS to JC, but for Tanya, the answer is yes. Iron Maiden tickets. Right on. There you have it. All right, Ryder's going to set you up with those tickets. Thank you both for playing. Nice job, guys.
I like a little mix it up there, kind of.
Yeah, man. All
and
right.
them going after each other. Get the competitive juices flowing. It's got to beat the toaster vibe to it.
Danny Trejo and Charles Manson did meet in the L.A. County Jail. Go figure. Kind of like Eric Menendez and O.J. Simpson were in cells right next to each other, as I learned last week.
Yeah.
Watching that show. Speaking of which, here's another completely unsolicited recommendation. If you have the Peacock streaming service, Anatomy of Lies. The most mind-blowing, backcrap crazy person I've encountered in a long time.
Wasn't she the writer for Grey's Anatomy?
Oh, don't even say another word.
Okay.
Just do yourselves a favor and check it out if you can. I missed that whole story when it happened. Apparently, it's the first I've ever heard of it. It's amazing.
Anatomy of Lies.
Anatomy of Lies.
Before.
What's that?
You know, I've been married before. It's worse than that.
It's worse than that.
Than those anatomy? No, I don't.
Absolutely worse than that. Hey, here's something that's absolutely true. Motley Crue has announced a brand new Las Vegas residency taking place at Dolby Live at Park MGM next spring, and we would love to send you. One winner can score a trip for 2 to Vegas. That includes round-trip air, a 2-night stay at Park MGM, and 2 tickets to Motley Crue, the Las Vegas residency. 10 runner-up winners will get Motley Crue's new EP canceled on vinyl, plus the Dr. Feelgood 35th Anniversary Limited Edition box set. Text the national keyword PRIMAL, Primal, PRIMAL to 95819 for a chance to win. And with that, it's time for the top 5 at 9. Hang tight. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday morning, October the 21st. Glad to have you with us as you're on your way, or you've already made your way, or you don't want me to know a thing about your way. Whatever. Baby, I love your way.
Stay out of my way.
It was quite a weekend, for a lot of reasons. Let's take a look at the top 5 at 9. 5 things we think are worth telling you about. Number 5, big story from last night, New York City. The Minnesota Lynx got hosed. I'm a recent bandwagon jumping guy, I will admit. But watching the game last night with as objective a view as I could possibly have as a guy who's watched a lot of basketball, I think the league didn't tell the referees to screw the Lynx, but they said, boy, it'd be great if we had a winner in New York City. 25 free throws for the New York Liberty, 8 for the Minnesota Lynx in the game. Final play of regulation, Breanna Stewart, the star player for the Liberty, not only travels egregiously before putting up a shot that was awkward and had no chance of going in, she was not fouled. However, the whistle blew. She went to the line, hit 2 free throws. Game goes to overtime. Next thing you know, in overtime, the Liberty run away with it. The Minnesota Lynx were chirping afterwards. feeling it. When your coach has no qualms about attacking the league, well, then you know it probably was a little bit of malfeasance.
I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on, right? Bring it on, because this shit was stolen from us.
Ooh.
Yeah, no sugarcoating that.
That sucks.
I like it right there.
We know this in the Midwest, right? I mean, these large markets, and like you, I'm not going to. There's some conspiracy going on, and there's a smoking gun. But they want these big markets to be in these championship games, and they want them to win these championship games. And this is nothing new.
It's nothing new. It's the best. It's the biggest season in WNBA history. A great success. And all the indications are, next year Paige Beckers will be in that league. Caitlin Clark had a huge year this year. Angel Reese had a huge year this year. There's a lot of great young players coming up that people are. Women's basketball. It seems like it is finally absolutely arriving, and it is a 5-game series. It's not one game. The Minnesota Lynx in the fourth quarter of Game 3 could have hit a shot or two. You know what I mean? There's a reason you play a series, because over the course of the series, the better team usually, you would hope, wins out. The Lynx have they do have a legitimate beef, but again, I was watching Game 3 at the Target Center in the fourth quarter going, can we just hit a layup? Please, ladies, can someone hit a shot? So all in all, it's a hell of a season for the Lynx. They'll be back next year. It's going to be okay. But when your coach does say, hey, we just got this taken away from us, even though it's right still, let the players do it.
Right.
It never really, it falls on deaf ears, probably usually with good reason.
Yeah, I agree.
What are you going to do? Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. We never thought they would go undefeated. I think you'd be crazy to have imagined that was even possible. That said, boy, it kind of sucks to see the Vikings finally drop one after such a great start to the season. At least they gave the Detroit Lions all they wanted. A 31-29 loss on a 44-yard field goal with 15 seconds to play. Minnesota, a fine ball game. We learned a lot about the team over those first few weeks. Probably learned even more in yesterday's game. Easily the toughest team they have played and probably will play all season. This Detroit Lions team is formidable. And Jared Goff, my gosh. I mean, yes, we have a great defense, but he's playing the game right now better than any other quarterback in the league.
I mean, their offensive line, there's not a weakness. They're great tight ends, great wide receivers, a couple of great backs, and Goff has got that thing humming right along. So there'll be a lot of shootouts this year. And then I think they wrap the season up. That should be a hell of a one if the Vikings hang in there and keep playing good ball. And the headline I read this morning, Vikings say 31-29 loss to Lions, is a chance to find out what we're really about. So now you've had a loss. And I would also say that if you're going to make a comeback, feel free to win. Just what an ugly kind of ending to that one right there.
Yeah, hold on to that one. Get a first down when you really need it. That's the difference between a good team and a formidable great team. Detroit, when they needed a drive, they moved that ball right up the field. Minnesota faltered on what turned out to be their second to last drive. They were hoping to get Will Reichert out there, the rookie kicker, for what would have been a 68-yard game-winning kick. And I was just screaming before the second to last play. I'm like, just get it near midfield and let that kid loose. Did not quite work out, but it would have been amazing. Even if he had missed it, just lining up for a 68-yarder would have been awesome to watch. Thursday night at LA to play the Rams. A game, if it were a Sunday game, I'd feel very confident, but traveling on 3 days rest, the Rams are going to have a definite home field advantage in that one. We shall see what happens. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. If you, like me, and like Zup, and like Tony, and like Ryder, occasionally like a beer, you may be surprised to know that there is a beer company in California called the Hanabi Lager Company. They are selling 6-packs of beer for, well, let's see, $90. $15 per bottle.
Tell me something amazing about this beer, please.
Let's see. They obsessively focus on their grains. They use heirloom varieties of barley grown in very small batches.
That's not doing it.
I know. It's a beer company that people like roll their eyes until apparently they get a sip and then they go, "Oh my God, this is the best beer I've ever had." $90 for a 6-pack.
Yeah, I would need just something like almost magical, like reverse beer goggles. Like when I drink that $90 six-pack beer, everyone in the room thinks I'm the funniest, coolest person in the room.
I drank a beer 10 years ago, 11 years ago in California. I heard about a beer for years called Pliny the Elder. That's the name of a beer. Pliny the Elder is some character.
Lord of the Rings?
Is something like that. Now, he's like an actual person, I believe. He was a Roman author, a naturalist and a philosopher.
Oh, yeah.
Pliny the Elder. And there is a beer out in California called Pliny the Elder. And it's like a double India Pale Ale. And I've had people for years, oh my God, you will love this beer so much. You got to have it. And it's rare and it comes out in small batches and it costs a lot. And you got to really, really, you got to get lucky to pick it up. And someone finally showed up and said, here, man, I got some Pliny the Elder. And I said, that's great. I can't wait. I took one sip and I just wanted to take the rest of that bottle and smash it over the guy who gave it to me. I'm like, this is beer for people. Like, do you have any taste buds at all?
Yeah.
It just obliterate, like the hoppiest beer you've ever had, multiply it by 1 billion.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you got to really, I'm like, I don't want to sip it slow and let it hang out in the back of my mouth.
We're not wine drinkers, we're beer drinkers.
It's just,
I like a good, what do they call them? Are they craft beers? Is that what they're making at the breweries there?
Yeah.
I mean, they're making some fantastic Pilsners and Bocks and Oktoberfest, and I'm not a big fruit in the thing. I do like me a Liney Shandy. I've talked about that before, but you're trying to be a wine drinker. So we're beer drinkers. Don't try and be a wine drinker.
I just like my beer to taste like beer.
Right.
And then the older I get, even less beer.
Reminds me of a buddy of mine from Italy, chef here, Angelo Montes. Chef Angelo moved here from Italy. He's a genuine Italian chef, and comes out to the farm because we're going out to Sturgis. We ride the Harleys out. We stop at the farm for the night, and of course, Mom and Dad make him what? Pheasant from our farm.
Okay.
How about some beef from our beef cattle? No, Mom makes him spaghetti. I'm like, Mom, what are you? She goes, it's from Italy. I'm like, and you're making him frickin' spaghetti.
Zisa Boyardee.
But my favorite, then he got in the kitchen and tried to help her, and that didn't go well.
That's so
But my
funny.
dad makes wine out of Welch's grape juice, okay? And these big, the water bottles they turn upside down in the water machines? Yeah, and one of those things with a balloon. And it's pretty much grape-flavored Everclear moonshine. And Dad's like, hey, you want some of my wine? I'm like, Dad, don't bring out your wine.
Yeah.
Angelo thought it was so hilarious, and of course it's awful wine. He took it out to Sturgis with us, and he told a bunch of the weekend warrior bikers out there. We're all kind of whatever. They're white collar workers back here out there. They're badass bikers, and he said he had this imported from Italy, the finest wine you've ever had. He brought it in just for them. They all get out their little styrofoam cups. He pours it in there around the campfire, and they're sitting around there drinking this stuff. The look on their face is concern, but they're like, everyone's saying the same thing. This is wow. This is really something. I can taste the bouquet. It's very approachable, and we're just laughing our asses off. Yeah, it's made in a frickin' chicken coop in South Dakota with Welch's frozen grape juice.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. Students at the University of Warwick in England have a new race car. They're calling it the Waste to Race Le Mans prototype. It looks like a Le Mans racing car.
Yeah.
It runs on what we call wastewater, as in sewage. It runs on pee and poop. If all goes to, this car will be unveiled within the next year. They're expecting it to set a new land speed record for hydrogen-powered cars. Again, it runs on wastewater. I don't know how many miles per pee you can get out of this thing.
Right.
But I'm stepping up my water game, and just generally speaking, looking for better health throughout the winter months that are approaching.
When you're out there in the parking lot peeing beside your vehicle at night in a large parking lot when no one's looking, you could be filling up your tank if you want. I wonder what the exhaust smells like. Is it rancid?
What if it somehow just smelled like, rose water? Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, go for it, kids. If we can turn our sewage into fuel, I'm all for it.
Why not? Hey, quick morning shout out to Excelsior.
Yeah.
What a lovely little community over in Excelsior, right there on the water.
I love it for a good time.
Spend some time out there. Go sit at Haskell's, have yourself a drink, watch the boats come in at the end of the day. You could do a lot worse.
It's beautiful. Love Excelsior.
It is a beautiful thing. Good morning, everybody out in Excelsior. Finally, over the weekend, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremonies went down. Ozzy Osbourne had quite the all-star band on stage performing for him. He was inducted by none other than Jack Black, who, of course, had a good time doing so.
The greatest front man in the history of rock and roll, Ozzy Osbourne. Proving insane lasting power. Then what? The Osbournes. Yeah, he teamed up with his family to create another genre, reality TV. Maybe the most evil thing he ever did. But there is no denying it. His whole family were hilarious and intensely entertaining. Then what? Oh, maybe just a little thing called Ozfest. Only the most successful heavy metal music festival of all times. Ozzy, stop creating incredibly successful genre-defining, world-changing hits. It's too much success for one lifetime.
That's fantastic. If you're going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Jack Black steps up to induct you, you've done something right.
Hell yeah.
Make no mistake about it. Also doing it right, Peter Frampton went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame years and years after it would have sort of made sense to me. His old friend of almost 60 years, Roger Daltrey, inducted him. And after the induction, when Frampton got up to speak, he told a little story about some of the early days out with his band, The Herd, opening for The Who.
One night, backstage, Keith Moon and John Entwistle decided to show me the rock ropes and take me under their collective wing. Every time in the Herd's dressing room, I went near the window and looked out, all the girls would start screaming down below. The next thing I knew, I was being dangled out of the third-story window by my ankles. I was 17. Welcome to rock and roll.
Come on, Cleveland. That was a wild party. So now this, you couldn't watch this. It will be televised at some later date on Max or something like that. I forget.
Somebody has. Apple TV, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah. I did find it fascinating. I didn't know this, but the Dave Matthews Band went in and inducted by Julia Roberts, who apparently is a huge DMB fan and was in one of his videos years ago.
Oh, really?
All of that was news to me. I mean, I haven't clearly paid too close of attention to the Dave Matthews Band. But, yeah, getting the arguably the biggest actress of the last 30 years up there.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. But, you know, I will also watch it. I won't watch the whole thing start to finish, but there are enough things about this that are interesting. Final update. We did talk about the fact that Foreigner, after all these years, went in. Two members of Foreigner not on hand, original members. Mick Jones, the architect, if you will, of the band's sound and everything. He's battling Parkinson's. His daughter, who's an actress, got up and gave some words on his behalf. His daughter, who was on the show Succession, by the way, she's had a pretty decent career.
Oh, really?
Yep. She played, she was Kendall's girlfriend from the other billionaire family. Okay. They're both sober, which means they're both doing tons of drugs together there in the later seasons.
Yeah.
That's Mick Jones's daughter. But original drummer for Foreigner, Dennis Elliott, did not attend. He said, nope, I don't like the way they operate. I'm not going to be there. Not going to go. I didn't get the schedule until just this past week. Forget it. Hope everyone has a good time, but I'm not going to make it. It turned out that his beef was the fact that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did not allow his wife to walk the red carpet with him.
I'd like to have someone from the verbalize that. The reason for that would be...
I cannot imagine.
Right.
Do you think if Cher said, I'm going to walk the red carpet with my long-legged Afghan, they would have had a problem? No. They would let her bring out I
think that was her wig, Steve.
That was the wig. She could bring out anything, anybody. They're not going to stop her from doing it. Why does the drummer and Foreigner get short shrift, as they say? Come on. Let the guy walk up the red carpet with his wife. I'm just saying. It seems like the fix was in. It's like the New York Liberty refs out there getting a guy from Foreigner. blowing those whistles or swallowing them, as the case may be. All right, we got sports and music history coming up. Hang tight.